Monday afternoon. Hi, everybody. Yours truly, Mr. Russo. Broadcast day kicks off on this 5th day of April, 2021. As we talked about what's going on about the world of sports, we got a huge day today. We look forward to it. Eddie Erickson, of course, this afternoon. He's up here in Connecticut. Our good buddy, of course, is Colin Schmeling. You and me now as we move it along. Steve Lapis today. We'll put Steve Torrey on today. Maybe a little lucky find a coach at 5 o'clock today. I'm expecting this to be a one-topic day based on the Classic and what is ahead of us as far as the NCAA tournament is concerned. 888 Mad Dog 6, that's your two-way sports talk telephone number as we move it along here on this Monday afternoon, on this afternoon show. We got a little baseball we'll get to later. We'll get to a couple of other little things with the NBA a little later on. We'll get into the NFL with Aaron Rodgers. Maybe we'll touch on that a little bit later on. We'll move it along as we can, but we're going to start the day, of course, in golf, too, with the Masters this week, Jordan Spieth. But we're going to start today with what was really a look back and a look ahead as far as the Monday night championship game is concerned. But before we do Baylor and Gonzaga, let's do Zags and Bruins from Saturday night. And, you know, that is one of the great, not good, great college basketball games you were ever going to see. And I'm going to give you one simple reason why, and that is the fact that the game was not won because of a mistake or poor play. And, you know, all games that are close and not competitive in the semifinals and everything else, you know, they are great games. I mean, you know, you have anybody playing a 93-90 overtime game in a Final Four, you know, that's going to be a good game. It can't be a bad game. But this game was superlative based on how well both teams played. They both shot well over 55% from the field, 58% UCLA, 59% Gonzaga. UCLA made a lot of threes, better than Gonzaga, but still Gonzaga made a few twos. They made 7 of them. There was only 20 turnovers combined in this game, and it's a 45-minute game with the overtime. You got to throw that in the mix, too. And it was just, and obviously big shots galore, and both teams had a chance to win this game on more than one occasion. Many a time Gonzaga was in trouble. They got out of it. A couple of times UCLA, second half, and in the overtime, they were in trouble, and they got back in the mix. It's really, listen, there are a lot of great games, and I'm sure we're going to get to some lists today of the great college games ever. I mean, the Duke-Kentucky game we all know about, you know, the Villanova-Georgetown game and the championship game, North Carolina against Georgetown, there, you know, UCLA and NC State, UCLA and Louisville in a semifinal game a long, long time ago with Wooden. I mean, there are plenty of great games that we are going to. North Carolina and Vegas in 77 Final Four Classic. There are plenty of games that we are going to allude to here today. I don't, but a lot of people put that 6 overtime game, Syracuse and UConn game in there in the Big East. But based on the stakes, and I think that's very significant. Remember that UConn-Syracuse game, they both were in the NCAA tournament. You know, it's the Big East. It's not the NCAA. Based on the stakes, and the winner gets into a championship setting on a Monday night, this game, it can be hard to top it. I mean, it really is. And I'm also going to throw the officials into the mix, too. And I should get the names out, and I'll have Eddie maybe get them for me. Those officials did a superb job in this game. They let the players play. They made a tremendous call at the end of regulation. That was an offensive foul with Timmy on a great job by him, the center for Gonzaga, when he pivoted outside of the line there, and he got charged into by UCLA's best player in the tie spot where a basket would have sent Gonzaga home, and that was an excellent call. The officials in this game was superb. A lot of times these officials in big games are not. We talked about this 3 years ago or 4 years ago with the awful performance that all three of them gave you in the Gonzaga-Carolina final, where they stunk. Not this case. These officials, and I should get the names because I'm always picking on them, and we should make sure we get the names out because these officials the other day did as good a job as you possibly can do in a big spot and had the guts to make a huge call and get the call right, which is what you like to see, which could have determined the outcome of the game. It was a second to go, and they got the call proper, which is, you know, not easy to do in that setting, and they got the call 100% right on. So you like that as well. I mean, really just a superb job. The officials in this game were Ron Grover, James Breeding, and Jeffrey Anderson. They did a superb job, and I want to compliment them. And the game itself was an absolutely superlative game. It's one of those games, even if UCLA lost, you know, you can't be upset if you're UCLA. I mean, how could you be up? You didn't blow the game. All right, the kid made basically Suggs makes a half-court shot. You didn't blow the game. You had one possession with a chance to win it. All right, they call an offensive foul. Correct call. You recovered in overtime when you were down 5. You made a 3, and then you made your 2 free throws. You recovered off that tremendous block by Suggs and then the layup on the other end of Timmy on the fast break. What are you going to do? I mean, you scored 90 points. A lot of folks thought that you were not going to be able to go up and down against them. You did. A lot of folks thought that you were going to get blown out. You were, as a matter of fact, a 14.5-point underdog. I mean, that was as good a performance as you can play. I mean, I know that you were right there. You had the ball in your hands with a chance to win it at the end of regulation. But if you're Cronin or if you're in that UCLA team or you're a family member, disappointed, sure. I mean, listen, who's not going to be disappointed? But you can't be crushed. And not when you play that well. I mean, you played a great game. Sometimes you got to tip your cap. Sometimes in sports, you got to tip your cap. Listen, if you're Kansas City in the Super Bowl, well, there, of course, there you're shattered because you stunk in the game. He didn't give you the best effort. So, there are some scenarios where, okay, fine, you played badly and you handed your opponent the win. But there are other times where you played great and the other guy just beat you. And in this particular case, that's what occurred. Gonzaga, needed a game like that. We all knew a game like that was coming. We all felt that Gonzaga had to prove that they could win a tight, close, taut game. We all wondered if they were going to respond based on that awful schedule that they play in the regular year. And we all wondered if Gonzaga was going to, when, they faced Armageddon, and they did on Saturday night, we all wondered if Gonzaga would have the, cojones, so to speak, to go out there and get the job done. And they did. And if you're UCLA, you didn't hand in the game. You only had 10 turnovers. You had 10 turnovers. You shot 58% from the field. You made 1,000,000 threes. All right, you missed free throws. Well, so did they. They missed a lot of free throws too. So I don't know where. And the official made the right call at the end. And you also, I thought, got a break. The one call that he didn't like was when at the end of regulation, one of your players was in the lane, lost the ball, and they called the foul, put you at the line for a couple free throws. If anybody got a break with the officiating, it was you. So I don't know where you're going to, and I don't think they are. I haven't read any quotes, but I don't see how you can get upset. Sometimes you tip your cap. And in this particular game, Gonzaga made plays. That's his bottom line. Gonzaga showed you the true heart of a champion. I don't like Gonzaga. I've been picking on him all year. Steve Torrey and I, have gone back and forth at times before the tournament started. And, I was dying for them to lose so I can have a lot of fodder here today. I'd be in great shape because, there's no excuses for Gonzaga. They got to win the whole thing. I don't care how well they would have played. See, I wouldn't have said this about Gonzaga if they lost 93-90. Well, what are you going to do? Tip your cap to UCLA? Gonzaga played great. No, I wouldn't. I'm not saying that about Gonzaga. I'm only saying that about UCLA. They were a huge underdog. They came out of nowhere in this tournament. They won, 5 games, one just to get in. And they played Gonzaga. Nobody else has. They played Gonzaga to the absolute hilt. And they easily, a break here, break there, a basket here, basket there, ball in their hands, last 12 seconds. Could have won. So, and I would not have been fair I wouldn't have said that about Gonzaga. Gonzaga, there's no moral victories. There is a moral victory for UCLA. I hate to say it if you're a Bruins fan. There is a moral victory. And you got a moral victory here the other day. That's a moral victory if there ever was one. And I understand it's a Final Four. Stakes are high. And you hate to have moral victories in a game that has that many high stakes. But I don't know how you can get upset. God, you played as great a game as you possibly can play. And Gonzaga, whether it was Timmy drawing the offensive foul, Suggs on a block shot, they shot the ball well. They got a lot of rebounds. Kispert didn't do much, but everybody else, Ayai did a nice job. The kid from Florida made big baskets. The kid made basically a 230, made a 40-foot bank jump shot. I don't know what else you want. If you're UCLA, what are you going to do? All right, the kid, you're a second or so away from getting into a second overtime. That's another reason why you can't get that upset at UCLA. At best, you were getting into a second overtime. You were not up 1 when he made the 3. The game was tied. So at best, you're getting into a second overtime. There's no guarantee you're going to win the game. It wasn't like you had the game won and you made a miracle. You had the game tied and he made a miracle. Now, Gonzaga has told us for the last 24, 48 hours that, that's not a miracle. They do it every day in practice, blah, 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 d. All right, fine. They can, if that's what they want to believe, let them believe. They're allowed. But the kid made a tremendous play. The kid made great plays left and right. He played Timmy's great, and he's a hell of a player, this kid. Suggs is great. We all know that. He's going to be a high draft pick, and it looks like he'll be a very, very good NBA player. So, and he made some plays in this game that, if you're going to win a championship, you normally have to make. And again, Gonzaga was in a very, very tricky spot, and they got out of the game. And we give them credit for that. And it was just and as far as basketball beauty is concerned, I don't know how you don't like it. I mean, there's 7 or 8 games that I know in my lifetime, in the last 50 years of watching college basketball. Now, I don't look at regular season games on this level unless it's a special one, like, say, the NC State-Maryland game, which the winner of that ACC tournament final in 74, you heard our podcast, we got into it, made the tournament. So that game is a winner or do-or-die game, so that's a little different. But I don't know that many regular season games or tournament games in the conference tournament games that would be on this level. And that includes the Syracuse-Connecticut game, which I've always felt is overrated based on the fact that both teams are going to be in the NCAA tournament anyway. This is a do-or-die scenario here. I want do-or-die games when I rank these all-time great games. And if you rank all-time great games, and I go back to the early 70s, 71, 72, if you go back to I can't go back to Kareem, and he never played a great game anyway. I mean, they blew everybody out in the NCAA tournament. I'm not going to go back to Jerry Lucas, Lenny Rosenbloth, Russell, or Tom Gola. I mean, I'm sorry. But if you go back in my era, and again, that's early 70s when I was paying attention, I can't think of many, again, I could put 5 or 6 games on the same list as this. I could put 5 or 6 games there. And I gave you 4 or 5 of them right out of the gate. The NC State-UCLA game, which I went back and watched again in the last month or so. I give you that. I give you the NC State-Maryland game. I can give you the Villanova-Georgetown game, Final Four. I can give you, I'll give you the UCLA game against Louisville, which got UCLA into the championship setting. One of those years that Wooden won near the end. I mean, I got some games. I give you, Notre Dame UCLA was a great game. The 88-game winning streak game. That's a regular season game, but it's a hell of a game. I did not see UCLA Houston in 68, so I'm not going to sit there and give you that. But I give you, Villanova Georgetown, the North Carolina game against Georgetown, which was marred by Fred Brown. But I can give you many a game, that is with this game. I don't know if I can give you many that are better. I don't know. This game was an absolute classic basketball game. This was, folks, let's call it like we see it. This is the best sporting event. If you're a sports fan, this is the best sporting event you've seen this year. There's no football game. The Ravens-Browns in the regular season, that was a great game, but I can't think of what playoff game in the NFL is as good as this game. You got one? Which one? No Buck game. No Super Bowl. Chiefs-Browns with Henny? No way. What game was as good as this game? No NBA game on this level from the bubble. There's not an NBA game this year that's been. Doncic beating the Clippers? No way. In that one game there in the game 4 of the first round? Not a chance. In the bubble? No way. No way is that game as good as this game. I don't know where you find a hockey game. I don't know where you find anything in any shape, way, or form in sports this year. And I understand this year is a weird year because of the COVID. But this is COVID too. I can't think of anything better than this. You want to bring up, the only thing I thought of was that Dodger-Rays game in Game 4 when Tampa got the run in the 9th inning off Jansen, 2 in the 9th in Game 4 to win. But that was Game 4, and the Dodgers ended up winning the series. When they beat Jansen on the kid's base hit into right center, maybe that is something that you can consider, but that did not decide anything. This did. This is an all-time classic. Great, great game. Give Gonzaga credit. Give Gonzaga credit. I've been on Gonzaga, so give Gonzaga credit. Give them credit. Lots to do on this program today. We got a lot of tentacles to this game. Where they stack up, what this game means for tonight. Where do we stack up with Baylor? Where do you want to put Gonzaga all time? There's a lot going on, a lot of tentacles, a lot of phone calls. I expect this to be a one-topic day. Nobody cares about Aaron Rodgers' contract. Nobody cares about Yankees, Blue Jays. Nobody cares about Islanders hockey. I would suspect that this, or the Miami Open in tennis, I would suspect that this will carry us. We'll get into it in a sec. We continue. We're at Mad Dog Unleashed.